Well, at a time when there have been several reports of flight safety concerns on SpiceJet, including several yesterday, questions have been raised now on the safety of the airline, with a show cause notice being issued by the Civil Aviation Ministry. To talk about the implications of this and a response from the airline, we are very privileged to have Ajay Singh, Chairman and MD of SpiceJet, who joins us for this exclusive interview. Thanks, sir, very much for being with us. Now, it's just in the last little while that the show cause notice has come out, and it says, and I quote, whereas the review transpires that poor internal safety oversight and inadequate maintenance actions has resulted in degradation of the safety margin. So the basic question is this: is SpiceJet safe to fly on?
Vishnu, SpiceJet is absolutely safe. Let me just remind you that just a month ago, DGCA had actually audited every single one of our aircraft and found them to be safe.
Yeah.
As far as these incidents are concerned, and of course, let me just say that every incident that happens is a cause of concern.
Yeah.
It always is a cause of concern. And of course, we have to take every possible conceivable step to ensure that incidents are minimized. That is the job of an airline, and we of course will continue to do that. But let me just say that of the incidents that are being talked about, one of them, for example, is a bird hit. Mm-hmm. This smoke coming out from an engine, that is a bird hit. No airline, and every airline has bird hits. I mean, on the day that SpiceJet had a bird hit, so did another airline have a bird hit. But it's just, we need to make sure that we are consciously taking a call on what is safe and what is not safe.
Sure.
We, for example, this incident which happened yesterday, and you referred to several incidents yesterday. There were two incidents yesterday. Let me just tell you about them. The first incident was when an aircraft was diverted on a precautionary basis into Karachi. This is a flight which was going from Delhi to Dubai. And the pilot suspected that there could be, additional consumption of fuel. I mean, more consumption than there should be. So as abundant precaution, and he did absolutely the right thing, as abundant precaution, he diverted to the closest possible airport. Now, on analysis, we found that there was actually absolutely nothing wrong with the aircraft. And while we are still studying the plane along with Boeing, it seems that there is no real problem with
Was
the
it
aircraft.
A wrong decision or a wrong call by the pilot?
No, I don't want to say that at all, because, the pilot's job is to be absolutely 100% safe. I mean, that is absolutely the most important thing he can do.
So I'll come back to this particular Karachi incident, but you were mentioning that one needs to look at every single case and not just sort of club it all together. But May 28th, you had a windshield crack on Mumbai-Gorakhpur. You had another windshield crack yesterday, which also took place. And therefore, and these were not bird hits. So those who say
absolutely.
that, there are maintenance issues, how are they incorrect?
Look, a windshield crack, a windshield is a windshield. It comes from a supplier. You put it, and sometimes they crack. And it's not only in Spice. I mean, they crack for airlines across the country and across the world. I mean, if I was to show you, and of course, I don't want to get into the legalese of this, and because it's extremely important that SpiceJet run an absolutely safe operation, as in fact it has done for the last 15 years of its existence,
right,
in India. But let me just say that if you look at the average data, and that's how any sensible person would look at it. Look at a global average, how many windshields crack, on how many flights per flight, how many windshields cracked, how many windshields cracked for SpiceJet, how many windshields cracked for Indigo. You will find that, in fact, Indian carriers are doing quite a bit better than their foreign counterparts.
Okay.
So windshields crack, the planes, are then come back, and then they replace the windshield and they move on.
Okay, but Mr. Singh, there are two other incidents.
If you have 3,000, 2,500, 3,000 flights a day, some windshields will crack. They
Okay.
crack for every day.
July 2nd, you had a Jabalpur bound aircraft, which returned to Delhi with smoke in the cabin. Apparently, it was an oil leak which took place. May 4th, one of the engines of your aircraft, Chennai Durgapur, had to shut down because of an oil filter warning. Again,
Yes.
how is this not a maintenance issue?
Of course. Let me tell you. The oil filter warning issue, these are brand new aircraft which have come from Boeing. Those brand new aircraft have a new engine, the CFM LEAP engine. If you remember this LEAP engine for Indigo aircraft, there were several shutdowns last year. In fact, I think more than 40 or 50 shutdowns which happened last year in flight. These are new engines and there can be some errors when a new engine is inducted into service. And just as there were shutdowns last year, there have been 2 in-flight shutdowns in SpiceJet's case in the time that we have operated the MAX. And these are brand new planes performing extremely well. So this is not at all a maintenance issue, not at all. These are, if anything, design issues related to a brand new engine being inducted.
No, but isn't that then a safety issue? Even if it's not SpiceJet's fault in these 2 cases, is the MAX 8 safe to fly?
So it's like this, that when a brand new plane is inducted and there is an in-flight shutdown, of course it is a cause of concern, no question about it. But planes are designed to fly on a single engine and land back on a single engine. Now, of the few thousand flights, in 1 or 2 flights, if there is a shutdown, of course, cause of concern, the manufacturer is alerted, they look into the engine, they do a boroscope, they try and rectify the engine or replace it or whatever. But it is absolutely not the airline's fault, not at all, or nor of the maintenance practices. Absolutely not.
But sir, in that case, when
just as it was not, Indigo's fault that there were so many in-flight shutdowns last year, 40, 50.
But therefore, when the aviation regulator says it may be deduced that SpiceJet has failed to establish a safe, efficient, and reliable air service, isn't this a very strong indictment of your airline, sir?
Look, this is a show cause. Of course, we will talk to them. They are absolutely right to be concerned, as we are. We will show them all the data. We will show them all our practices. We have recently been audited by IOSA as well. And we will show them. And if they point out that here are some gaps that we see in your system, we are very happy to ensure that we run an absolutely fail-safe operation. It's been 15 years since SpiceJet has flown. There has never been anything significant which has happened at SpiceJet. It's just that we believe that in the last few weeks, there has been, I think, reporting. For example, the smoke coming out of an engine was a bird hit. This incident which happened with the diversion at Karachi, there is actually nothing which has happened to the aircraft at all. If there is an air conditioning failure which has been reported, pressurization, these happen on a daily basis in airlines around the country. There's nothing unique or special which is happening over here. Of course, we understand the concern. We understand that this is being reported, and therefore it should be of great concern to all of us. And we are doing everything humanly possible to make sure that it's completely safe operation.
But sir, when again the show cause notice says that you are financially cash strapped, and this is a fact. I mean, the airline is in a difficult situation. It also says that you're operating on cash and carry, and suppliers and approved vendors are not being paid on a regular basis, leading to a shortage of spares and frequent invoking of MELs or minimum equipment lists.
Again, let me say, Vishnu, we will absolutely prove to DGCA that none. Of course, every airline in the world is in financial difficulty at this time. But this has absolutely no bearing, and no airline would ever compromise on safety as a consequence of that. And we will show that to DGCA. Of course, it's our job.
So you're not regularly operating on minimum equipment lists. In other words, the bare minimum to allow a flight to take place.
Vishnu, in fact, this minimum equipment list, over the last several weeks, we have dramatically reduced the aircraft operating on minimum equipment list. So, in fact, at our last meeting with DGCA, we had shown them that the number of aircraft which were on MEL has actually reduced a lot. So, while MEL aircraft are absolutely safe to fly, what MEL does is that it does not allow you to fly in certain conditions. That, in certain weather conditions, it won't allow you to fly, etc. But that is now down to a very, very small number of aircraft.
What percentage of your fleet are you operating now in your Boeing fleet or on your Q400 fleet on minimum equipment lists?
It's probably, maybe it's 5% or something like that.
And is that within the normal standards of any airline? That 5% of your flights?
And again, we will show that the data to DGCA. I mean, these are very normal issues, and it's not like if it's MEL on a day, it's MEL again on the next day. By the next day, you would have made some rectification, and then it would be off the MEL list.
So 5% of your fleet would be several aircraft, would be what more?
No,
well more than
it's the floating population. There's some go on MEL, some come off MEL, but it's very minimal. Vishnu, the MEL aircraft are not unsafe aircraft by any stretch of imagination.
Sure. What when
that it says that maybe you cannot fly at a high temperature, maybe you cannot fly at a certain if the airport is at a certain height, etc.
Right.
That's
so
what happens.
they are also saying that they've carried out a financial assessment last year, and that you're operating on cash and carry. Is this not a problem that you have to pay for the fuel before you can mount a flight?
No, so SpiceJet has been operating on cash and carry on fuel for the last I think 10 years. So I mean, airlines choose their own method of paying up, and I think we are very happy that we actually pay for fuel in advance before we fly a plane, and therefore we owe absolutely nothing to any oil companies at this point of time. So it's a mechanism where we get additional discount from oil companies because we pay in advance.
Okay. What about suppliers and approved vendors not being paid on a regular basis?
Look, whenever there is financial stress in an airline, there is always some give and take which is going to happen with suppliers. There will be installments provided to them. There will be some delays in making payments. Again, this has nothing to do with safety or spare parts being available. No aircraft can ever fly unless it's 100% safe.
Right. So, are you delaying payments to your vendors?
So of course, the vendors are being paid. All the critical vendors are being paid. There are some delays in making certain payments, but again, that doesn't impact either the supply of any spare part. I mean, if you look at all the incidents, there's nothing, not even one, which has anything to do with a spare part issue.
Got it, sir. But therefore, if what they are saying, and again, this is what the DGCA, the aviation regulator, is saying, is that while your flights are obviously landing safely, fortunately so, you are landing with degraded safety margins. Those are their words.
No, so again, it is for us to show, and they're absolutely right to show concern when media reports incidents in a string of incidents. And again, as we proved to them last month, we will again prove to them that what we are doing is absolutely as safe as we possibly can be. And if they find us to be deficient in any space at all, of course we'll make that call. Of course, and it is their job to regulate us, and we welcome that regulation.
Mr. Singh, the flight which landed in Karachi yesterday because there was this malfunction of an instrument, fuel monitoring system which took place. How many hours, and this is separate from the larger issue of flight safety, how many hours did the passengers have to remain on that aircraft before they could be flown out by a replacement aircraft?
So they were allowed to deboard and be in the lounge, Vishnu. This is Pakistan, and Pakistan is not the easiest when you
exactly. That's why I'm asking. Yeah,
of course. So we said that. As I said, that the pilot diverted there out of precaution, and he did the right thing. The indicator light that you are speaking about, I mean, it showed some form of an imbalance or additional consumption of fuel. So he was right, and he landed, at the nearest possible airport, which happened to be Karachi. Now, we wanted to send an aircraft there to take the passengers out and on to Dubai. The Pakistan government, takes a lot of time to give those clearances. So, it took a fair while, and we really regret that. But they did permit us to take the passengers out of the plane and into the lounge. So they were in the lounge, and then the replacement aircraft was sent. The passengers went in that replacement aircraft. It took a long time because clearances in Pakistan really take a very long time, especially when it comes to Indian aircraft.
Was it a tense day for you, besides getting those passengers onto the replacement flight, because you'd made this landing a precautionary landing in Pakistan, not the easiest place to deal with from an administration standpoint, besides anything else?
Yes, absolutely. Of course. I mean, Bombay is very close to Karachi. If he had only landed in Bombay, there would have been no issue at all, right? It's just that it happened to be Pakistan, and of course, you have to use your best officers to get clearances in Pakistan. And for India, the rules sometimes. I mean, it takes longer. So I don't want to criticize anybody here.
Sure.
All I want to say is that, of course, it took much longer, and therefore it was tense, because it was of great concern to us that the passengers were in Pakistan and needed to be flown as soon as possible to Dubai.
And sir, did the government actually get involved in the process of trying to ensure that permissions were given for the replacement flight to land to get into Pakistan?
Well, we had kept the government, the regulator, as well as our ambassador in Pakistan informed. And of course, everybody assisted in the process.
All right. Well, that's great to know. And I'll just end this interview with, what I started on. Is SpiceJet a safe airline to fly?
SpiceJet is 100% safe airline to fly, as it has been for the last 15 years.
All right, Mr. Ajay Singh, thanks. Appreciate your coming on board, taking on all of these questions on the basis of this show cause which has been issued to the airline. Hopefully, the SpiceJet remains as safe as you believe it is. Thanks very much, sir, for being with us.